So before we get started here, I just wanted to say that everybody up here, kind of how it's going to be formatted, wrote a monologue. And how we wrote this monologue is we found one or two Freedom Riders who actually rode on these buses and found one or two that really spoke to us. And what we did is some of us wrote monologues that closely mirrored the lives of these people, and some of us used it more as a jumping off point for kind of their monologue. So these are not us speaking on stage here. The monologues are delivered as kind of an amalgamation of the Freedom Riders. So, without further ado, here's our play on the Freedom Rides.
Liberty.
True liberty.
Lies in the hearts of all men and women.
Laws and courts and constitutions, they're important.
But we shouldn't rest our hopes completely upon them.
Those might be false hopes.
True liberty lies in the hearts of men and women.
If we allow liberty to die in our hearts,
No law, no court, no constitution can save it.
freedom is a process.
Freedom takes work.
Freedom is becoming rather than being.
It is never fully won.
So it can easily be lost.
Its essence is a constant struggle.
If our land is to be the land of the truly free,
It must be the home of the brave.
I will be brave.
I must be brave.
I wish to apply to the Congress of Racial Equality.
For acceptance as a participant in the Freedom Ride.
To travel by bus
From Washington, D.C.
to New Orleans, Louisiana.
And to test and challenge,
Facilities along the way.
With the purpose of deliberately violating
The immoral segregation laws of the Deep South.
Because at this time, the struggle for freedom and justice
For human dignity,
Is the most important thing in my life.
enough is enough.
I'm so angry.
So tired.
so frustrated.
But I will not wage violence.
though violence may come at me.
I will gain strength in the conviction that through nonviolence,
Courage can displace fear.
Love can transform hate.
Hope can end despair.
Acceptance can dissipate prejudice.
justice for all can overthrow injustice.
True, freedom is a right, but not a given.
Though it's so hard to understand why,
Freedom is never completely won, so it can be lost.
it takes constant work.
I am ready for this work.
I begin now.
I remember learning about atoms for the first time. How everyone's made of these millions of tiny, indistinguishable particles. I like that. I spent those years devouring textbooks. I worked twice as hard as the other kids in my school, and 3 times harder than that to compete with the white kids at Brookwood Hills. But see, there were some truths I couldn't comprehend until I faced them. Damn near perfect grades, my application was denied to the Georgia Institute of Technology. The reason? They wanted to keep the school pure. I told this story to some of these white riders on the bus, and they said,
But Charles, you got into MIT. Who cares about the Georgia Institute of Technology?
"It's true. I was accepted to MIT, but I can never go. My dad came home from 2 jobs with less than $100 for the week. There was no money for MIT. There wasn't even enough for the bus fare. So, I went to Atlanta's Morehouse College. It was still a stretch to send me, but I was able to come home every day and keep an eye on my little brothers and sisters. At the Morehouse campus, I tasted the sharp tang of revolt in the air. We all huddled around the radio when news broke of the Greensboro sit-ins. That's what we needed to do. In 1961, I performed my first sit-in. I was sitting at a lunch counter, jotting calculations, when 3 cops took me by the collar. There was no process. There was no jury. They tossed me straight in a cage. 16 days before they let me out. In my cell, I counted 95 tally marks clawed into the plaster. 95. I was starting to think that'd be me. A few days after they let me out, the Corps rang for me, the Congress of Racial Equality. Said they were very impressed with my peaceful protest. Said they wanted me to represent Atlanta. Represent? I asked represent in what? It was a new project called the Freedom Rides.
None of us northern white college students know much of anything about where we're going. Not more than a few of us have ever been to the South. It's black and white images on television or pictures in newspapers. We leave early and travel all night until we reach the state border. It's on a local train taking us to Canton, Mississippi, when I first feel afraid. The other white passengers are looking at us, really staring at us. We're sitting with black and white volunteers together as a group. Soon, one of the leaders reassigns us, so we're sitting white next to white, black next to black, with some distance between the two. I came to teach at a freedom school that we set up in Canton. The days are long, but I know I'm a part of something important, something worth fighting for. But not everyone agrees with me. Before leaving, I find out that 3 other volunteers are missing and are most likely dead. It's difficult to decide if I still want to go after hearing this news. Each of us have to come to a full stop and make the decision to go all over again. Instead of violence that we read about, this is so real, it's hard to take in. When we arrive in Canton, we're quickly put into cars to be taken to the police station, to be fingerprinted, photographed, and to listen to a recording by the governor. Go home is his message. We cannot be responsible for your safety. My police ID is a badge of honor, always a little surprising when it shows up in a desk drawer. To me, it's a token of bravery and pride. I'm standing up for justice, for equality, for liberty, for freedom.
Why did I join? That's what everyone asks. My parents say it is not my place. My friends say it is wrong for me to be involved in something that doesn't affect me. They do not understand. When I saw the others, first the sit-ins and the courage that they had to have, and then a couple years later on the buses when they were so brutally beaten, I knew I just had to do something and simply volunteered and proceeded. We are now being trained to react non-violently to anything we might face. I know of the violence and hatred the others are facing, but everything is new and exciting, and it does not scare me, perhaps because it seems make-believe. At least, it doesn't scare me yet. I try to imagine the racism we will encounter, but I have never actually experienced it before. As the other volunteers talk about the horrors they have faced, it only strengthens my resolve to fight against segregation. But it also makes me question my life. I have always assumed that I could walk into a restaurant and be served without hesitation. I have never been scared for my safety because of my race, nor have I ever felt inferior. I did not ask for this privilege, but I still reap its benefits, no matter how unjust they are. But that is why I joined this movement, because segregation is unfair. It is wrong, morally, religiously, and spiritually. I want to make the country better for everyone, and I want to prove to the nation that all white people do not think alike. I joined because I believe that this is our movement, and it belongs to all of us. It is not black or white or young or old or southern or northern or male or female. It's human. This is our movement as kind, loving people, as equals, and as individuals who care about the freedom of everyone. This is our movement for our country, for our future.
Non-violence. That's what they say. King, Lewis, all of them. I try, I really do, but I'm just not like them. I can't do nothing as they beat us and burn us. I can't sit still while they spit on us and demean us. I know all those cliches. You can't fight fire with fire. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, but what am I to do? Christian doctrine of love, they say. Don't the others claim to be Christian too? Malcolm was right. He doesn't advocate violence, but he said he doesn't call it violence if it's in self-defense. He calls it intelligence. Well, maybe I ought to be intelligent.
I am an activist.
I am someone who activates a switch inside others. Someone who awakens the slumbering determination hidden behind a stoic countenance. I am a fighter. I'm someone who chooses my battles wisely. Someone who inspires feelings of fervor, civil rebellion, courage, and pacifism in all who witness my actions. I'm merely a reformer. I'm someone who wants to change the falsehoods of the imperatives instructed upon us, the inferior folk in society. Someone who aspires to make people see my perseverance, not the color of my skin. I am a girl just like any other. A girl who wants to laugh with other girls, play tag with other girls, and joke with other girls. A child who wants to feel the verdant green blades of grass tickle my bare feet. I want to run through town, my laughter resounding through the morning air. I want to experience the revelry that other girls are fortunate enough to have. I want to be able to breathe easily, to be assured the shade of my skin, the texture of my hair, the sound of my voice, and the appearance of my body is not an abomination. I want this to end. This hardship, this heartache that is classified as waking up every day as a second-class citizen. With the segregated South serving as a colossal looming wall that blocks me from this, I can't do any of these things. Those states are a hodgepodge of prejudice, racism, and indignation. It reeks of injustice and the foul stench of impudence. Segregation has become the born fruit of this happening, causing despair upon African Americans, like myself. It has me sick, queasy, and perturbed. But I have taken my suppressed, squeamish nature and morphed it into a non-violent form of protest. A non-violent form of protest does not cause strife more than it causes realization. A non-violent form of protest that beckons thousands of heads to turn and say, we have to rise with her. I am a young girl who wants to make this torn-up country a place of prosperity. I want to ride on buses that may take me to my impending doom or to my salvation. I will always be a freedom rider, one who protests with poise and rationality, one who gleams with pride and reassurance, one who remains calm and collected, one who will change this country.
I just wanted to make a difference. I was only 19 when I joined the Rides, and prior to that, I had known a thing or two about civil disobedience. They had thrown me in jail for sitting at a lunch counter. That's right. They threw me in lockup for sitting to get a cup of coffee. Things really had to change in the South. They had to change. Sit-ins just weren't enough for me anymore. I almost had no choice but to join the Rides. I can't say I had much hope for the reaction from the South. Really, I had anything but hope. Everywhere we went, people rioted, they threw things at us, beat us, they even cursed at us. White folks just couldn't handle Negroes riding at the front of the bus. But Montgomery was the worst. When we got there were some 200 white folks ready for us. They had lead pipes, baseball bats. They were gonna beat the hope right out of us. I survived the riot, kinda. I only left with a few bruises, but my optimism was completely diminished. How was anything going to change? The South was too far gone. But for me, the prejudice didn't end with the riot. People in my home state of Alabama had a lot of hostility towards me. They said I shouldn't have ridden those buses and that I ruined my future. Well, maybe they're right. I got kicked out of Tennessee University, and my mom said I shouldn't come home no more. She was scared. All because I rode some buses. All because I wanted to make a difference.
Burn, bomb, kill, maim. That's the quote we saw. The Alabama police gave the Klan 15 minutes to burn, bomb, kill, and maim before intervening. One young man held down my legs. Another pinned back my arms. As I tilted my head, I saw a man lurk up to my body. He took his lead pipe above his head and crack. 6 hits to the body, a shattered rib. 4 to the legs, dislocated my right knee, 3 more wild swings to the head. When his arm got tired, he switched to his left hand. At that point, the boys pinned me down to run off, but I stayed down. Peaceful protest. I never thought it'd be so gory.
I came home with my arm in a sling and most of me bruised. I thought my mother would be proud of me in my attempts to make a difference in this world for the future. I opened the door to my mother's red eyes instead. She had aged far more in the past few weeks in my absence than in the past few years. Her voice raised with frustration that she was worried sick for my well-being after hearing about the attacks on the news. She told me, "Look at your arm. Look at the damage. It could have been worse. It could have ended like the neighbors," she tells me, and that I should have stayed home to watch over my brother. While I was gone, my brother had been traumatized by the sight of a barrel to my neighbor's head. My brother told us how the shots' echoes continued through the alleys for what seemed like forever. He told us about the certain sound the body made when it made contact with the concrete, an empty thud similar to the hollow knocking on an apple. He told us how the innocent blood seeped through the small crevices of the sidewalk and not even the rain could wash it away. And with the bodies on the ground, my mother envisioned her son in that place, myself claimed by the lead pipes in Montgomery, a poster child for the cause of riots. My mother was terrified for weeks to let her son walk to school, as deeply engraved biases in every one of us could have pulled the trigger. I stepped foot on these buses to stop this, so that people I care about won't die young for bigotry, but it doesn't seem like I help much at all. People turn a blind eye to the crooked inner workings of this country, and no matter how hard I try to point out its horrible flaws, I'm met with more excuses and more indifference, and with everyone turning the other cheek, no matter how many bodies are on the ground or in the trees. I guess a mother will always fear the world she sends her children into.
Now, thank you for joining us. We are here to commemorate the legacy of the famous civil rights activists, the Freedom Riders. I'm joined by one of the members, Mr. Jim Zwerg. Now, Mr. Zwerg, why did you join the Rides?
Well, I joined the Rides because I believe in love. I believe in loving your neighbor as you love yourself, and I couldn't bear to see my black brothers and sisters treated as less in the land of the free. I remember once I wanted to see a movie with some of my friends, but we weren't allowed in the same theater because I was white and they were black. And at that moment, I knew that I had to do something about it. That if I could do anything to stop those little things, the little things that make people feel like less, then that's what I had to do. So in short, that's why I joined.
What about the beatings and abuse on the journey?
Well, that's another story. In Montgomery, I experienced the worst of it. Men with baseball bats, lead piping. I even saw one man with a pitchfork. I got knocked clean out, hospitalized. So you can imagine what they did to the others on the journey. You know, it's amazing to see how cruel people can be to each other. And I'm glad that I was able to help publicize some of the horrid acts going on in the Deep South.
Mr. Zwerg, what is your opinion on race relations now?
That's a tough question. I guess the answer is that it's not over. The fight is not over. The fight to promote love over hate is not over. Again, it's little things. Telling a black person how articulate they are, as if you're surprised, or assuming they fit into a monolith, like that they're all from the inner city, or all lazy, they're all scary, or all somehow your enemy. The reason people deny racism today is because they can't see it, or because they just don't want to look. So I guess don't be complacent. Don't think you've done your job. Us Freedom Riders are getting old. We won't be around to be an example for much longer. It's time for a new generation to take the reins. Remember, the same racism still exists, even if it isn't always as visible. The fight is not over. Except for this time, it's on you. It's on all of us.
Liberty lies in the hearts of all men and women.
You.
Me.
I will not be silent.
I will speak up.
I will not be still.
I will act.
Seeking freedom for all.
Seeking justice for all.
The land of the free must be the home of the brave.
Though I am no one.
I will not stand by silently.
Though I am just one,
I will act bravely.
With liberty in my heart.
I will reject hate.
I will be an agent of love and peace.
Though you may think I am no one,
I am someone.
And though I am just one,
even I can make a difference.
I can make a difference.
I will keep liberty in my heart.
I will keep love in my heart.
And though I am just one, even I can make a difference.